everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is once again time for another random video where I don't really have an episode of a show to talk about, so instead I decided, screw it, let's do a Q&A. I said I'd do like an AMA, put that up on the community tab and Twitter. However, I did it kind of late in the day, so I didn't get a ton of submissions by the time I ended up recording, but I do have enough, I think, to make a solid video. So what do you say we go ahead and jump right into it, starting with one from Twitter, this one from Outcast Ray, the legend herself. And they say, who are your biggest inspirations when it comes to anime-related content? I think when I originally started, I would have said somebody like Chibi. And that's still pretty true. I think a lot of my current setup is similar in many ways to what Chibi does, where Chibi does sort of, like he'll talk about certain episodes of certain shows, but he'll also talk about, kind of whatever he feels like depending on the day. Sometimes he'll like make a video on like something big that happens, some kind of big news, right? And that's sort of the direction that I've always taken, where I'll make videos on episodes of particular shows. I don't exactly cover manga like Chibi does, but I do tend to kind of just talk about what I want, which is usually anime episodes, and every so often I talk about like little announcements, right, here and there. So I'd say my biggest inspiration was likely Chibi. Now I don't really have somebody who I'm like, that, I want to be that. I kind of just do whatever. But at the beginning, I would say, yeah, Chibi Reviews was definitely a big one. Anthony Fantano, he's not an anime guy, but Fantano was definitely an inspiration for where the channel is currently. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, a mix of Chibi Reviews and Anthony Fantano. And I listened to a lot of lo-fi hip-hop, so that also kind of inspired the channel. And, that's where we are now, this sort of lo-fi hip-hop slice of AniTube, and hopefully people enjoy it. I certainly like making them, so there's that. Next question, though. This one comes from Jack over on YouTube, and they ask the big question, do you miss Tower of God? Yes, I really do. It's funny, I was thinking about that Squidward meme the other day, where it's like Patrick and SpongeBob running past the window and they're all happy and excited, and then Squidward's inside looking all sad. And to me, it's just like, that's webtoon fans versus anime fans right now. Just the webtoon fans got the first chapter in a long time, and they're all hype and excited, and they have every right to be. I'm also excited for them. I'm happy CU is doing okay, like that makes me happy. The fact that the man is recovered and ready to take on Tower of God again, that's awesome, right? Like, nobody's saying it ain't awesome, but you guys know me. I'm not a big, I'm Jared, I'm 19, I never fucking learned how to read. Only I'm JoJo, and I'm 28, and I still don't know how to read. So I'm not a big fan of webtoons and manga. It's not my preferred medium, so I'm over here waiting for the anime to continue. And from what I hear from a lot of people, like, everything that happens post the end of season 1 is where Tower of God really hits its stride and gets really crazy. And which is insane to me, because Tower of God was like one of my favorite shows of that year, right? Like, I absolutely adore Tower of God. I still think the OP and the ED are absolute bops. Without spoiling it, I think the ending of the first season is one of the most, like, jaw-dropping moments, where it's like, I can't believe that just happened, and easily sets up for a season 2. But it's been so long. Like, it's been so long without any announcement. And Tower of God was pretty friggin' big. I don't know if you remember, but like, everybody was talking about it when it came out, and people continued to talk about it right up until the end of the season. And then people just kind of started shifting over to the webtoon, right? Like, not too many people were wondering where season 2 was, except for me and a few other stragglers of anime onlys. And so now here we are, like about a year out, and there's still no news about what the hell's going on. Now, in fairness, this was back when Crunchyroll was funding it, but if you know sort of the inside baseball of the anime community right now, you'll know that that Crunchyroll's not just like a single entity anymore. They're owned by Sony at this point, so that's kind of a problem. So it calls into question, like, okay, are they even doing Crunchyroll originals anymore? Like, would Sony be willing to let them fund anime projects, or is that just done? Because that was their whole big push, was that the Crunchyroll originals were going to be mostly webtoon adaptations. And I liked one of the three. I really enjoyed Tower of God. I didn't like God of High School, and I didn't like Noblesse, but I loved Tower of God. And the OP for Noblesse is sick. And the OP for God of High School. So all the OPs were great. But the shows themselves kind of misses, but Tower of God was a huge hit for me. I really, really loved it. And I miss it like crazy. I would love some kind of announcement before the end of the year. If we don't get an announcement before the end of the year, I'd maybe consider like climbing, like beginning my climb through the webtoon, but I'm not like, it's not something I'd be in a hurry over. Like, I'm not a big webtoon guy. I just don't enjoy it, and I don't enjoy manga either. Like, it's just kind of a slog for me, and I usually end up dropping it. So it kind of makes me lose interest in the series. I'd rather just see it animated. So I certainly hope that we'll get an anime adaptation eventually for season 2, but I don't know. Who knows? Next question. This one comes to us from Black Fox over on Twitter. They asked, are you going to watch Komi-san when it comes out? The answer to that is a very big yes, because if I don't, I have a feeling Dakota Broski will kill me. So yeah, I will likely be watching Komi-san when that drops. I don't know when that's going to happen. I believe it got an anime announcement, but I don't know necessarily when. But yeah, when Komi-san gets its anime adaptation, I'll be checking it out. I still have to check out Nagatoro, which is another big one that everybody's like, are you gonna watch Nagatoro? Like, yes, eventually. I just don't really know when yet. I know it's not, like, I don't believe the anime's finished at the time of recording, but it's pretty close to being, so I'll probably just watch it on stream, like maybe like 3 episodes a piece sometime soon, so maybe sometime next week or something like that. But Komi-san, yeah, I'll probably maybe even cover it, depends. We'll see, but I'll definitely be watching it at the very least. Next question comes to us from Unchosen One over on YouTube, and they ask, how would you rate this season from 1 to 10? Now, if you're watching this in the future, we are talking about spring 2021. I honestly, and what I'm going to say might shock people, but I would honestly rate this season, personally, as like a 6 out of 10. Like, considering that I think Fruits Basket is like a 9 to a 10 at times, like depending on how, like, the episode, but like Fruits Basket is absolutely flawless. I've been really loving My Hero, but everything else I've just kind of been enjoying. You know, I haven't like been loving everything else as much as My Hero and Fruits Basket, and there's not a whole lot to talk about. Like, a lot of people have like a show that they're really into, but not everybody's into. You know, like, everybody seems to be kind of doing their own thing in like small pockets, and then people kind of come together for Fruits Basket or My Hero. But for the most part, those are the 2 big ones this season, and everything else is just kind of like, it's enjoyable. Like, nothing's really terrible this season, but it's just a bunch of shows that I enjoy. You know, I cover them, like Moriarty, Tokyo Revengers, To Your Eternity, stuff like that. There's good stuff, right? It's just those are the 2 that I'm the most engaged with, and I find myself on the edge of my seat every episode, and I'm like really I feel heavily involved like with that fandom and with those series, that they're the ones that kind of hold my attention, and they're the ones who keep it from being a failing grade, because it's definitely like a 6, a strong 6 to a light 7 of a season. And that's sort of where I'm at. Like, I think Fruits Basket and My Hero are kind of carrying the season for me in terms of like hype and fun factor. But yeah, that's about where I'd rate it. Like a light 6 to a strong 7. But with that, or sorry, a strong 6 to a light 7. Strong 6 to a light 7. But yeah, next one from Twitter user Anime Lover 9822. They ask, can you continue Junjo Romantica or do Sekaiichi Hatsukoi? I don't know if I'll continue to cover it the way that I have, but I do eventually plan. I know I keep saying that, but I do plan to actually finish Junjo Romantica at some point. But if I do, it'll be on reactions on the second channel. because it was fun to talk about JoJo that season, because I had a gap in this is back when I was doing videos, or trying to do videos every day. So I had a gap in the week, and I was like, screw it, I'll watch something that I've been meaning to, and that was JoJo Romantica. And so we were watching the first season, and yeah, JoJo Romantica's, let's say it was very much of its time, right? There's stuff in JoJo now that I'm like, yikes, right? But you have to keep in mind that it's a fictional story. It's not real, and it's an anime, and you know, it was friggin' 2008 BL show, so like of course there's gonna be stuff that you're like, okay, I don't like that, but I guess we're just in this, and I care about the characters. I want to see what happens, so I'm obviously gonna finish it at some point, but it won't be in discussion format. It'll be in the reaction format, likely on the second channel. And then once I finish Junjo, I'll probably jump into Sekaiichi Hatsukoi, since they, I believe, are sister shows and like characters cross over sometimes. So eventually I'll check out Hatsukoi, but yeah, I want to finish Junjo first. But yeah, next question comes to us from Netherman over on YouTube. They say, hey man, what's your favorite horror anime? And I'm gonna be honest, Netherman, I don't watch too much horror anime. I'm a big like horror movie fan. I love horror movies, but I'm not a big horror anime guy. But of the ones that I've seen, I'd likely say Another. I really enjoyed Another. It's basically sort of Final Destination if the characters were not cardboard. I really, really love the main two characters. A lot of the side characters are fun. I think the deaths in the show are shocking and kind of appeal to my like horror movie sensibilities, where I'm like, damn, that was brutal, but like in a fun, like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened kind of way. Like the first one is always, to me, is always like the most shocking. I won't say what, but you know, it involves stairs, like, so you know what it is if you've seen it, but like that one's always stuck out to me as like, holy crap, and like that's when the show gets wild after that. But I really enjoy Another. I would like to rewatch it at some point, like maybe this Halloween I'll rewatch Another, because I really like that show. But the final question of the day is going to be from Sithens over on Twitter, Simon. And they say, could you give a short explanation of your YouTube journey? I know you had the Kotatsu and a minute and such. Did you make any content before that? Did you start streaming or making videos? What made you interested in doing this? So I started making content, like, I don't even want to say content, but like I started making videos on the platform when it started in 2006. So I was a kid back then. I was just like making dumb videos with my friends, and like we would make like goofy movies. Like we would script out like nonsense like as kids and then act it out back in like 2006. And then I sort of like fell off, and I would make AMVs a lot. Like I would make a lot of AMVs and GMVs after that. And that was fun. I actually found one the other day. I was like, oh man, I forgot I had this account. I forgot this video exists. I showed it on stream once. Yeah, woof. But that was, yeah, so I kind of had similar journeys to other people, where like when the site happened, so many people were curious, like, what is this YouTube thing? So everybody got involved, and a lot of people were likely inspired by Smosh. I know I certainly was. And then after that, it kind of became about AMVs and GMVs and just like vidlets and stuff like that. Little like music videos stuff, like for fandoms. I got really into that at one point. And then eventually I started doing anime content. I ended up wanting to do this thing called Animinute, where I would talk about seasonal anime in under a minute. And it just kind of stuck for a little while. And it's how I met Ku, and then later Sun and Sloan, and we formed the Kotatsu. So Animinute and Kotatsu were about the same time, like within a year apart. That was, I believe, in 2016, somewhere around 2016-ish, so like 10 years later. And then after that, it was pretty much the way it is now. It's a lot more chill now than it was. I was much more hyperactive back then than I am now. I've definitely mellowed out in my later years. But yeah, that was pretty much the content I made before that. I made goofy skits with friends that I have since deleted off the internet. And then old AMV accounts that have also mostly been deleted off the internet. And then now to making sort of just general like YouTube anime content, just kind of chit-chatting about seasonal stuff and stuff like that. I will say that lately my focus has been on VTubing, both for the second channel, but mainly the Twitch channel. And that's likely what keeps me interested, is the fact that I have two separate outlets of expression, that I can do the VTubing thing, but also come here, and while I'm still technically, in character, and going forward, like a month or two from now, the videos will also be in character, but they're different outlets. Like they allow me to do different types of content, and I think that's what keeps me really engaged, is that I have two different areas that I can sort of explore and be creative and stuff like that, and talk about my favorite things, which, I talk a lot. Some say too much, and that's what makes me happy, and I'm glad that you guys are happy to hear me. But with that said, though, that is going to wrap up today's video here, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. Before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people, look at these beautiful names, and hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are two ways to do so. The first is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name and some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course, your name scrolling past the screen here, or you can check out that Patreon link in the description. For just $1. You can help keep this channel afloat, and I would sincerely appreciate it. So once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron, and that is it for me. This was nice mellow video. This was a fun one, but yeah, until next time, bye!